What do you do when the two people you trust most in this world, the partner you vowed to spend your whole life with, and your only sister, betray you in the most unthinkable way? I saw it with my own eyes, my husband and my sister, naked, right there in the kitchen, which I personally created. Every tile, every cabinet, I chose myself. That was the moment my life completely crumbled, broken beyond repair. Everything seemed perfect just hours before. I'm Sarah, a woman in my early 30s with a stable marketing job and a good income, enough to feel confident about my life. I loved my work. I loved my peaceful weekend evenings with my husband. My marriage to Mark had lasted nearly 10 years, and I truly believed we were soulmates. He was my person, my other half. We rarely argued. We always respected and loved each other. Or so I thought. And then there was Chloe, my sister. After my dad passed away years ago and I cut ties with my mother, Chloe became the only family member I had left. We were always close, sharing everything. She was my best friend, the one who was always there for me through thick and thin, listening to all my secrets. I trusted Chloe more than anyone. She was an inseparable part of my life. Just last year, we even designed the entire kitchen together. Oh, and that kitchen, that was my pride and joy. Every drawer, every spice rack, every floor tile was chosen by me, meticulously planned to be absolutely perfect. It was a symbol of warmth, of the happy little family Mark and I had built. Everything was in its place, a perfect picture. Until one fateful afternoon, I decided to come home earlier than usual, and everything collapsed right before my eyes in a single moment.
That was a long and exhausting day at the office. Dozens of meetings and thousands of emails to tackle. I thought I'd get home, make a hot cup of tea, or maybe scroll through Netflix and watch some romantic movies to soothe my soul. Or even surprise Mark with a nice dinner. I never imagined I'd walk into hell right in my own home. As I turned into the driveway, I saw Chloe's familiar car parked there. Oh, maybe she just stopped by, I thought to myself. She probably brought some food from her new coffee shop for me. There wasn't a hint of suspicion. I turned off the car, stepped out, and my footsteps echoed clearly in the quiet late afternoon. The door was still locked, but I had my own key. I gently unlocked it, wanting to surprise her. As soon as I stepped inside, I heard a strange noise coming from the kitchen. It wasn't the sound of cooking, nor was it normal conversation. There was something different. Mixed with the slow creak of my footsteps on the wooden floor was a soft, low chuckle. A strange scent, not food, but a strong, indescribable odor wafted into my senses. Every hair on the back of my neck stood on end. A sudden unease washed over me. I slowly walked towards the kitchen. Each step felt so heavy. My heart pounded in my chest so loudly as if it wanted to jump out and run away. Then I rounded the corner, and my entire world collapsed. It was as if someone had hit slow motion on my life. My eyes were glued to the scene before me, trying to process every detail, every millimeter of disgust. Mark, my husband, naked. His back to me, and in front of him, also naked, was Chloe, my sister. They were having sex right there on my kitchen counter. The counter I meticulously cleaned every day. The place where I prepared breakfast for my family. The place where Mark and I used to have coffee every Sunday morning. The air in my lungs felt like it was sucked out. My heart stopped. The whole room spun. My mind was blank. Not a single thought could form beyond that horrifying sight. Then they turned, probably sensing my presence. Mark's eyes, pure, abject panic mixed with self-loathing.
Chloe's eyes were a frozen, empty stare, almost disbelief that I was actually there. That moment our eyes met. It will haunt me for the rest of my life. Instantly, I turned my back. Not a word escaped my lips. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. I ran. I ran like a maniac out of that house, away from the stench of betrayal, away from that repulsive scene. I scrambled into my car, started the engine, and sped off like someone deranged. I just drove and drove and drove with no destination. I just wanted to escape reality, escape the place where my life had been irrevocably ruined. My kitchen, my pride and joy, and they did that despicable thing right there.
I don't remember how long I drove. The speedometer was just a blurry number in my vision. The wind whistled softly, and the car hummed steadily. I just drove and drove and drove, as if the further I went, the more that horrifying scene would recede behind me. I didn't know where I was going. I just wanted to escape that house, escape the stench of betrayal, escape their gaze. My entire body felt drained, leaving only an empty shell dragging itself down the road. It wasn't until I realized I'd wandered into an unfamiliar area that a dimly lit hotel sign appeared. Just somewhere to hide, I thought. I pulled in, not caring what kind of hotel it was or how much it cost. I just needed a closed door, a private space where I could collapse. The moment I stepped into the room, the door closing behind me, I collapsed to the floor. Tears streamed down my face endlessly. I cried and cried incessantly for hours until my throat was raw and my eyes were swollen. I cried until I felt like I was dying from the inside out, bit by bit. The physical pain was nothing compared to this agony in my soul. My whole body trembled, and all I wanted was to curl up and disappear. If I moved, if I acknowledged what I had seen, then it would become a harsh reality. I didn't want to believe it. I couldn't believe it. The two most important people in my life, Mark, the man I called my person, my other half, who swore to love and respect me for the rest of his life, and Chloe, my sister, the only family I had left, my best friend, the one I trusted implicitly. They destroyed everything. They destroyed love. They destroyed trust. They destroyed the family I had built. My hand automatically reached for my phone, almost instinctively. I didn't need to hear any excuses from them. I knew exactly what they would say. "I'm sorry. It's not what you think. We didn't mean to. Please come home." It would all just be nonsense and garbage. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to face them. So, I did something I never thought I would do. I blocked both Mark's and Chloe's numbers. I didn't want a single text, a single call to reach me at that moment. And then, the solitude hit. When something happens in life, whether joy or sorrow, the two people I'd want to talk to most are them. Now, I had no one. It was past 11 p.m. I couldn't call my friends, couldn't disturb their sleep with this mess. I felt utterly lost and helpless. That's why I turned to Reddit. I remembered reading a few stories there before. I thought, no one will probably even see it, but at least I can write it down. I just wanted to pour everything out, find an anonymous place to express what I had seen, what I was feeling. I didn't expect anything, but the response I received was overwhelming. Hundreds of thousands of comments poured in, words of encouragement, genuine advice, and stories of empathy. I just scrolled through, unable to reply much because I had so much to process, but every single word was like a balm. It truly gave me a glimmer of hope, a virtual hug that I desperately needed. It showed me that I wasn't alone. I wasn't the only one going through something this horrific. And most importantly,
I kept reading one piece of advice repeated over and over: unblock them, collect evidence. In that moment, I knew what I had to do. The next morning, after a long, sleepless night filled with encouraging messages and advice from Reddit, I knew what I had to do. When I posted my story last night, I just wanted to vent. I didn't expect much, but the community's reaction truly gave me a push. In particular, one piece of advice was repeated over and over, and it stuck in my mind: unblock them, collect evidence. In that moment, I suddenly woke up. I couldn't keep dwelling on this pain and paralysis. I no longer had Mark or Chloe to rely on. I had no one in my blood family to help me. I had to do everything myself. I took a deep breath, feeling the coldness in my chest, and knew it was time to start fighting for myself. As I wrestled with the chaotic mess of my thoughts, my phone rang. It was Jessica, a friend of mine from college. It turned out Chloe had contacted Jessica, asking if I had reached out to her. Jessica had felt something was off. I recounted the entire story to her, every single detail. Jessica listened in silence, her voice trembling with anger, but not lacking deep concern. "Oh my God, Sarah, how dare they do that to you? I can't believe it. Where are you? You need a place to stay immediately. My spare room is always ready for you." I was incredibly grateful to Jessica. She not only gave me a place to stay, but also took her entire day off work to help me sort things out. Jessica helped me call my workplace to report I was sick. She stayed by my side, comforting me little by little. Afterward, I contacted Jenna, another acquaintance who worked at a bank. Jenna guided me on how to start reorganizing my finances, freezing joint accounts, and protecting my assets. She also introduced me to a good family lawyer. The reality of the divorce process was incredibly harsh and demanded immense determination. The phone consultation with the lawyer truly stunned me. I listened as the lawyer explained the steps, the types of documents, the estimated time and the costs. A lengthy, expensive, and utterly exhausting process. I suddenly understood why so many women choose not to divorce their cheating husbands. It wasn't just the emotional pain, it was a colossal financial and legal burden. Fortunately, I have a stable job and a good income, enough to support myself. And the biggest stroke of luck was that we didn't have children. That made everything much less complicated. I had to remind myself that nothing would happen overnight. It would take time, a lot of time, but I was ready. As for the house, that's quite a sticky point. Mark's parents bought that house for us. To be honest, after what I witnessed, I don't want it anymore. The image of that scene in my own kitchen is too ingrained. That kitchen which I poured so much effort and money into, my pride and joy is now so defiled that I can't look at it the same way. I'll fight to get compensated for my beloved kitchen. Otherwise, it can burn to the ground for all I care. I honestly don't care anymore. All I want now is for this all to be over. Reddit's advice was right. I decided to unblock Mark's number. And just as I predicted, my phone practically exploded with a barrage of messages and missed calls. I read them, one by one, with a cold disgust. What did he say? You can probably guess. It was all canned, meaningless, and utterly dishonest apologies. "I'm sorry, Sarah. It's not what you think. I swear. I don't know what happened. It was just a moment of weakness. I love you, Sarah. Please come home. We need to talk. I can't live without you." Just as I expected, it was all just nonsense and garbage. There wasn't an ounce of genuine remorse. It was all just the panic of someone caught red-handed. He only wanted me to come back so things could go back to normal. I deleted all those messages. They just made me feel even sicker in my stomach. Despite the unbearable pain from Mark, deep down a fragile glimmer of hope for Chloe remained. She was my sister, my only remaining family, someone I'd once believed would never betray me.
It's just us, I kept telling myself. I thought maybe she was manipulated. Maybe she made a huge mistake. I decided to call Chloe. I needed an explanation. The truth. No matter how painful, I needed to know. The phone rang for a long time. Then Chloe answered. As soon as I heard her voice, my own hardened. Chloe, I need you to tell me, straight and clear, who, what, where, when, and why. No more lies. Sister, I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. It's not entirely my fault. I'm truly sorry, sis. She stammered and sounded scared, but in Chloe's words, there was still an attempt to make excuses, and that just hurt me. Tell me, Chloe, why Mark? Why in my kitchen? Why you? Then she started to tell her story. Her excuse was truly horrifying, cold and calculated. Chloe said it began last July when I was on a girls' trip in Florida. She was at my house and jokingly told Mark that I might cheat on that trip because that always happens on women's trips. She even shamelessly suggested that Mark could get back at me by sleeping with her. Mark said no, but then from a sick joke, a calculated invitation, and a little alcohol, they did it once. And that one time led to 2, then 3, and then it just kept happening whenever they had the chance. Whenever I wasn't home, I was completely unsuspecting. A blatant lie to cover up their disgusting behavior. I never had any intention or thought of cheating. Chloe was just trying to blame me, creating a flimsy excuse to justify herself and him. When did my own sister become so deceitful? But the peak of the betrayal wasn't the affair itself. It was when she spoke those words. When she tried to blame me, I heard the exact phrases, the very way of speaking that I'd heard over and over, distantly from my past. Those were precisely the words my father used when he cheated. He would come home smelling of strange perfume, and when my mother questioned him, he would bellow, "Do you think I want to go out? It's because you don't know how to please me. Do you think you're such a good wife?" He would twist it around, blaming my mother, making her the cause of everything. And then, if my mother still didn't understand, the beatings would start. Not just my mother, but sometimes Chloe and I would also suffer random beatings, just for breathing wrong or not doing what he wanted. And there was my mother. She used similar words to cover up my father's behavior. "He's just tired, dear. He only wants what's best for the family. That's just how men are." My mother accepted being treated that way, and in doing so, unknowingly made us, her children, bear the consequences. She couldn't protect us, nor could she protect herself. She turned a blind eye to the truth just to maintain a distorted facade of a family. They taught us that love is control, deception, and passive endurance. In that very moment, as Chloe uttered those excuses, I looked at my sister and I no longer saw my sweet little Chloe. All I saw was the shadow of my abusive, deceitful father, the one who shattered my childhood. I saw the shadow of my weak, toxic mother who chose to blind herself to the truth to preserve a family facade, and inadvertently contributed to the destruction. My entire painful past, nights hiding under the bed, listening to the arguments, the sound of breaking objects, my mother's stifled cries, all rushed back like a colossal, devastating wave, drowning every last shred of hope. I realized this wasn't just an affair. This was the repetition of a wound deeply ingrained in my family's bloodline. A toxic cycle I had tried to escape for so many years. And really, when I met Mark, I thought I had finally escaped that karmic cycle. I truly believed Mark was completely different. He was always gentle, he listened, and he never raised his voice. He was nothing like the toxic figure of my father.
I thought I'd finally found a peaceful haven, a man who would never betray or hurt me. I was wrong. Everything weighed heavily on my heart. I felt my blood run cold and solidify, utterly devoid of any warmth. Things might be repeating, but I absolutely refused to become like my mother. I knew I had to end everything immediately, permanently. Chloe, we are done. There's nothing you can do to bring us back together, ever. I hung up, my heart shattered. But the shock didn't end there. A few minutes later, my phone rang again, an unknown number. I hesitated, then decided to answer. It was my mother, the woman I hadn't spoken to in 7 years, the mother who used to hit me just for breathing wrong or not doing what she wanted. It turned out Chloe had contacted her and recounted the entire story her way. Do you know the first thing she said to me after 7 years of silence without a single word of greeting? I heard everything from Chloe. This is the price you pay for taking my daughters away. You think you can live separately from me? You think you're better than us? This is your karma. Her voice was shrill, filled with venom and bitterness. I didn't say a single word. I just listened, and then I hung up. In that moment, everything became clear. I had lost everything. My husband, my only sister, the place I belong, and now I had officially lost all my blood relations. I had lost my family, lost the meaning of the word home. It hurt so much, more than any physical cut. But in that very same moment, a fire ignited within me, a fire of indignation and also determination. Honestly, I'd never thought I'd experience this kind of pain. Even my childhood, which was filled with so much suffering, couldn't compare. It hurt so much. Every day I woke up, that scene would flash back, a punch to my gut. I knew this would be a long, messy, and challenging journey, probably several years. But in that very moment when I lost everyone I once called family, a fire ignited within me. A fire not of hatred, but of determination. I needed to pack my bags, find a new place to live, and rebuild my life from scratch. I wanted to show Mark, Chloe, and that toxic mother that I can and I will live my life well without them. I would show them that I am stronger than they think, and I won't let their betrayal define who I am. The first step, of course, was to leave that house. With the help of Jessica and a few other friends, I quickly packed my essential belongings. The feeling of walking out that door for the last time was strange, a mix of liberation and heartbreaking pain. This journey wasn't easy, but I wasn't alone. Jessica was always by my side, listening to my emotional outbursts and even cooking my favorite meals. My friends truly became my family, the ones who chose to stay with me when I needed them most. They were my rock, never judging or blaming. I also realized that I couldn't get through all of this by myself. I started seeing a therapist. The sessions helped me not only deal with the current trauma, but also the old scars from my past, especially the memories of my abusive father and toxic mother. Understanding my family's dynamics better helped me let go of some of the burden and self-blame. I started focusing on myself. I dedicated time to hobbies I'd long neglected, reading, doing yoga, and even trying to learn a new language. Slowly, I felt bright colors returning to my life. The divorce was also progressing as it should. It's a time-consuming and expensive process, but I know I'm on the right track. Currently, I'm officially divorced and living in a new apartment. It's smaller, but fully furnished, and most importantly, it belongs to me, free from any painful memories. And then, something unexpected happened. During a yoga class, I actually met David.
He's a kind man, always listens, and brings me a sense of peace. We're not rushing anything. It's simply been conversations about life, about dreams. Maybe after all this, life still has good things waiting for me to open up to. And this definitely isn't a replacement, it's a new beginning, a fragile hope for the future. This journey has taught me so much. I've learned that human inner strength is limitless. I've learned the true value of honesty and self-respect. I've realized that accepting bad treatment is never an option. And most importantly, I've learned that family doesn't necessarily mean blood relatives. Family is the people who choose to stay by your side, loving and supporting you unconditionally. I know there are many others out there facing similar pain, unimaginable betrayals. If you're going through something like that, I want to send my deepest empathy. I know it hurts terribly, but please remember, you are not alone. Seek help. Believe in yourself. You deserve to be loved and respected.